Hi there, my name's Anthony, Anthony Smith. Many of you, I hope my subscribers will know that. Some of you who maybe find this video later may not know that. And I've worked in the MCN space for years, both directly as part of an MCN, some contract work, and working with people inside of MCNs, both creators and industry folk and whatnot. So I've worked directly for an MCN, and I've also worked as like as a contractor, essentially. So I need to go ahead and say this: MCNs don't have to be evil. I know a lot of people have gotten, there's a lot of publicity right now around MCNs and just how horrible they are. And to be honest with you, I really wanted to do something a little bit more high production, and I didn't want to have to come to you from my messy room. But I need to go ahead and get some thoughts out into the world. So if you'll forgive the low production quality, and hopefully, I think the sound is probably going to suck in this video too. But it's the information that really matters. Okay, so MCN stands for Multi-Channel Network. MCNs were originally supposed to help creators in many ways. One, by giving them the ability to monetize their content back in the way early days, because it used to be that only a select few channels had the ability to monetize on YouTube. And then an MCN, or multi-channel network, was sort of devised as a way for one company to work with a group of creators and to get them to a point where YouTube didn't really have to babysit them, so to speak. And they didn't have to worry about a lot of things, and that they could trust this MCN to know what kind of content their partners or creators were uploading. And then that MCN, or multi-channel network, could then monetize through that, and also that MCN would invest in both, in either time, money, equipment, whatever the case may be, to help that creator grow on the platform and other platforms. That was sort of the plan. Also, multi-channel networks had and still have the ability to basically sell advertising for those channels, individually or in groups. So essentially, an MCN could approach Pepsi and say, "Hey, Pepsi, why not run an ad on our channels? And that's how we're going to raise CPM levels for those creators." Or if that channel, or if let's say Coca-Cola wanted to run ads only on, I'm going to use Casey Neistat as an example, though I don't, as far as I know, I don't think he's ever been part of a multi-channel network. So let's say you only want to run ads on Casey's videos. An MCN could facilitate that. Part of the problem with that is that a lot of Coca-Cola could just go ahead and run those ads themselves. But it was supposed to be the job of this middleman, this multi-channel network, to facilitate whatever needed to be facilitated, and act as sort of the go-between. And though a lot of that may have been done in certain instances, a lot of multi-channel networks throughout history have just seen that they can essentially, make a lot of money by just charging creators a revenue share. And don't get me wrong, the revenue share model, it has legs. You can do a lot with that. But the problem is that a lot of multi-channel networks, or MCNs, essentially just kind of said, "Oh, well, we got you now. You're locked into a 5-7 year contract, and you're Now we're just going to get 40, percent of your revenue, and we're just going to sit here. Um, that's not good. That's not good for anybody. I've worked with enough people um, in the space to know that a lot of them have this weird, like, sense of entitlement that they need a certain percentage for something to make sense, that they need to have a minimum of a 60/40, 70/30, 80/20 in order for this to make sense for them. And I always want to break that down. Like, anytime I hear that from an industry person, I want to break that down, and I want to be like, okay, well, what services are you actually providing this creator, and what is that dollar amount of that 60/40, whatever. A lot of times that dollar amount that gets lost. So, for instance, if what you're providing a creator is access to music, and then the occasional they're gonna email support a couple times a year, do you really need several $100s a month or even a year to provide that to that creator? Ooh, maybe, maybe not. Hopefully, there's a lot more value adds for that. Um, Now, I do understand that when it comes to a multi-channel network, a lot of them, they need an office to work out of. They need to hire staff, things like that. Totally get that. Um, and that's part of why a revenue share model kind of can work. Um, but a lot of the people in the MCN space just simply don't they don't think about things in terms of human beings, and I take issue with that. um, Now, I'm assuming that some of the people who watch this video may may maybe be upset that I'm saying that not all MCNs have to suck. Um, and look, I mean, I get it. All right, I'm not blind. I'm not completely deaf and dumb to what's going on. I look, I hear what other creators are saying. Um, but having been on the other side of that coin, I have also personally worked with a lot of creators over the years, in some of the same capacities that, for instance, MatPat or the guy who leads the Game Theorist channel has. Basically sitting down and saying, hey, let's go over the numbers. Let's actually try to figure out, okay, where is your audience coming from? Who is your audience? How do we capitalize on that? How do we make these people feel like if they're just watching, how do we make them feel like they should subscribe for more? How do we get them to come back? How do we make these people happy? How do we make your viewers happy with you? And how do we further monetize that? How do we integrate your merchandise so that it's of course, just merchandise, but also it means something to someone, and they're going to want to wear it. They're going to be happy with their purchase, and they're going to want to showcase that. How do we do these things? That's something that I've done a lot of, and that was all for creators who were on revenue shares, because a lot of that stuff, it takes time. Sometimes it takes several meetings with a creator. It takes several back and forth and back and forth. A lot of it, a lot of times people look at things like YouTube advice, and they're like, oh, well, you're just gonna tell me to be consistent. Well, yeah, but here's the kicker that people don't always talk about. Consistency means a crap ton of stuff. It can just mean uploading consistently. That's what a lot of people take it as, and that's really good advice. But it also means coming to your audience in a similar or same way. Also, I should probably go ahead and apologize to my regular audience, because this is not the kind of video I normally put out. But um, It also means, keeping, let's say if you have a set or whatever, keeping things consistent so that, videos that you put out today have a similar aesthetic to the videos that you're putting out 6, 8, 10, 12 months from now. And of course, yeah, you know what? Things are going to change. You're probably going to get a new camera. You're probably going to, upgrade and get new audio equipment or whatever. But you want to try to keep as much consistency as possible because people subscribe, people follow, and they expect certain things. And that list of certain things changes from person to person. It changes with time. That's why every single large creator out there, regardless, you're always going to get those fans who are like, I miss the old days. I miss the old Linus. I miss the old Shane. I miss the old whatever it is. Those fans, they've got a point to an extent, but a lot of that boils down to the fact that they don't necessarily miss the old whoever, because that person is still the same person. But a lot of times they miss how they felt watching that content. And there's a lot of psychology and a lot of things that goes into that behind the scenes that a lot of people no clue, and that's fine. That's where people like me come in. That's why I advise channels. That's why I work with channels to figure out, okay, what is it that people are connecting with you about? What can we be consistent about? What is the messaging? How do we take what you have and then augment it to what you want it to be without losing that certain je ne sais quoi? I'm pretty sure that that's French for stuff that people like. I'm kidding. It's I don't know what. Anyways, my point is that, I have the unique or semi-unique position of working with a lot of creators from the MCN side and genuinely trying to help them. Maybe that paints me with a little bit of rose-colored glasses, or I guess in this case, gamer-colored glasses. But, I mean, for corn's sake, I do see a world out there where an MCN can actually do a lot of good, a lot of help. I see a world out there where an MCN actually focused on people can actually get some stuff done. And I also see a space for a gray market. A gray market where it's kind of like an MCN, but not exactly. I see this space where someone can, instead of saying, I'm going to give up, 40% of my revenue for something along the lines of like access to music and the occasional, email to support, to saying, I'm going to pay you exactly this much money every month. And I expect these things in return. I expect, this, that, and the other thing for that subscription amount. That way, you know what? If the channel does blow up, you're not stuck in a contract. I see a middle space where if the channel does blow up, the amount of money you pay to a company doesn't blow up. And you're like, oh, well, this only cost me $1.20 because that was my rev share in the beginning, based on my channel size. But now all of a sudden I have 500,000 subscribers and it's costing me, $600 or, $5,000 or whatever per month. I get why people are upset, but it doesn't have to be that way. It doesn't. Also, support. Let's talk about MCN support. And I say this having worked in the support department of an MCN. MCN support generally sucks because support is usually filled with people who don't really know much about the platform. They have a certain number of responses that are, if not literally copy and pasted, figuratively, they're kind of copy and pasted. And a lot of times, some of these MCNs or multi-channel networks, expand to such size, such scale, that they legitimately don't have the ability to write back, a personal email or a personal message every single time. And to me, that's a tragedy. That is truly horrible, because YouTube's support has the potential to be so much more. And, while I was at the MCN that I used to work for, I genuinely did try to make it more. But at the scale that was at the time, that would not work. I know, and I did my absolute best to make it better. And better is always good, or gooder. Better is better, but better is far from perfect. A good system legitimately has to be built from the ground up. And it has to scale, yeah, sure. But also it has to know where other people, other things, other companies have misstepped before. MCNs in their current state are not good. I get that. Maybe there are a couple, maybe there are a few who genuinely take care of their creators. But right now, I don't see them. Maybe that's part of the problem. You never hear about happy customers. You only hear about the ones who were upset. And that's something that while I worked for an MCN, I told myself. It was kind of my mantra. It's like, oh, there has to be 10 happy customers for every one who's upset. Maybe that was the case. But right now, with everything going on and YouTube networks being held accountable, man, maybe I was wrong. Maybe there weren't 10 happy customers for everyone who was speaking up. Maybe it was less. I remember an article that came out about my previous employer, like back in 2014, 2015, something like that. And it said that it was an interview, I think, with our COO at the time and a news reporter type person. And he said something along the lines of, or the article quoted or something, that there was a turnover rate of about 2% per month. 2% per month. That may not sound like much, but that means that over the course of 50 months, we would have completely cycled through every partner we had. Now, of course, numbers and statistics don't really work that way. Just thought experiment, right? And 2%, I don't know what the numbers are for regular businesses or what have you, but in my book, that just seems way too high. The company I was at had retention efforts to an extent, but I don't know if I don't know if even that should be the way that things are done. In a company like that, there should be significant value adds, so that hopefully people don't even consider that. Hopefully you kind of get to a point where you have hopefully nobody wanting to leave. And a lot of MCNs were, again, multi-channel networks. They just It seems like a dying industry, which hurts me a little bit in here because I know from experience that I, working with a lot of creators, have made a lot of really good headway. Um, I know that model has legs, so to speak. But I also know that it's not a perfect industry. I know that there are a lot of companies out there who think about their partners or creators rather than in terms of people. They look at them as numbers. How many views per month did we add today, or this week, or this month? Not how many people did we help, not how much did we help grow this channel, not, how, not every question that should be asked. And I think a large part of it has to do with something genuinely good needing to be built from the ground up. And some networks probably started out with really good intentions, but they lost their way. They just became fodder for investors. How do we make ourselves look good to investors? How do we make ourselves look good to X, Y, and Z? Or for my people outside the US, Z. How? What if we just, radical idea, what if YouTube networks didn't suck? Maybe that's too much of a goal. What if YouTube networks sucked less? Seems like a good idea. It seems like it could work. I have mentioned several times in this video that I used to work for a YouTube network, and that's kind of public information. You'll find information about that on this channel and a lot elsewhere too. But I mean them zero harm. I wish no ill upon them. I wish them the best of luck with what they're doing. And a lot of the things that, at this point, with given the benefit of hindsight, I don't fault them for any of this. A lot of the things that I sort of, identify as problems with them are problems with the entire industry. Things, blowing up to a point where you've got, for every one partner or creator or whatever, for every one staff, you've got several thousand or several 10,000 sometimes creators. That isn't good scaling. Nobody's going to be happy with that. Okay, not nobody. Very few people are going to be happy with that. How to fix? How can someone identify the good, extract that, and then transplant that good into something else? I don't know. I'll tell you this though. I sure as heck wish that MCNs sucked less. Yeah, this video has gone on long enough. I don't even know. I don't even know, man. Let me know in the comment section down below all of your MCN horror stories. Let me know what you think about everything that's going on with Defy Media. Let me know what you think about all of this stuff that's been going on lately. And let me know if you know of a network or an MCN or something that sucks less or is maybe good. But maybe we should settle for sucks less. I don't know. Let me know all that stuff down there. And I am gonna try to do my best to upload on this channel more than once a month. Till next time, don't forget to like, subscribe, and do all those things that make me love my job. Also, be awesome to yourself and amazing to each other. Bye. And stop.